Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Morning Talks with Ro. Yes, I still got my morning drink. Looks a little different today, right? I am in Tennessee right now. So, change of location. We'll see what kind of energy that brings too, right? That I have a change of location. I also am doing this at a different time. I'm on day 2 of my fast right now. So I'm up early and I gained 2 hours, right? On the West Coast, it's even earlier. It's 7:30, which is not normally when I do the talks. Hey, everybody, welcome to the conversation. Good morning to you. So yeah, day 2 of my fast. Hey, Shirley, welcome to the conversation, love. Today, I had a couple thoughts, come up for me to speak about. I was like, what do I want to talk about today? So I'm always open, of course, to hearing from you all, whatever you might want to talk about, whatever you might be feeling, because it always stretches us, right? And we never know, even though I may even come in with an idea, we never know what it's going to mean to the bigger picture when everybody starts throwing in their ideas to say something. Hey, Shamika. Hey, Kirsty. Good morning, Deacon Charles. What up? Thank you so much, Shamika. So 2 things came up to talk about today. One, and they coincide. One is thinking for yourself. Grand Rising, Christopher, and hey, Mortons. Hey, Power. Today. Okay, so thinking for yourself, meaning critical thinking, right? A lot of mob mentality thinking going on right now. Per normal, we are always hearing about, things in the press and a lot of people's opinions. And to some degree, this is really great. I think that we have this level of connectivity. But the other side of that is that a lot of it can become kind of remote control thinking, right? Everybody gets on the same path. And if it's the popular thing to think or the popular thing to say, everybody jumps on board and, that becomes a thing. The question is, and this is the second part that came up, creating sacred space. How many of us take the time to just get away and think for ourselves? And then what does that sacred space look like? It doesn't have, it doesn't have to be as lofty as it may sound. It's just a way to say it. But sacred space could be a closet, okay? A park up the street that you like to go to. A bedroom that gives you some level of calm or makes you feel like you're getting away from something. Maybe there's a best friend's backyard that you really like, that you could go to, that you could, just go steal away and think for yourself. Maybe when you take a bath, you give yourself some bath time. Maybe when you go sit in the car. Sometimes I just like to drive. I'll just get in the car and I'll just drive up the road in silence. And I'll just be thinking. My brain has a chance to just kind of let off thoughts. My heart has a chance to kind of speak up because I don't have a lot coming at me. You know what I mean? A lot of stimuli. A lot of people talking to me. The television isn't on. I don't watch television per se, but the television isn't on. The phone isn't necessarily taking me out of my space. If I could just put it on Do Not Disturb. How many of us actually take the time to steal away and think for ourselves? Let me see what you guys are saying. Good morning, everybody. Hey, y'all. Hey, Armani. Oh, thank you, Shamika. The girl, this is the sun making me look glowy. Hey, I found me a cute little space. Hipsters are guilty of not thinking. I think a lot of people don't think for themselves. I think a lot of people don't access critical thinking. I think, and I want you guys to chime in and tell me why you think that happens. But one of the reasons that I think people aren't accessing a lot more critical thinking is because, especially if you're involved in social media, one, that's a huge influence, right? And especially if you have people who are influencers on social media, you may just automatically take to their thoughts without thinking for yourself just because you respect them, which is okay. But when do you stop and think, let me even dissect what the person that I respect is saying? That's important too. Sometimes they're not always on point. Sometimes it doesn't always line up with your value system. Do you put it up against your value system? Do you know what your value system is? You know what I'm saying? Like this talk this morning so far is to encourage us to think for ourselves, even beyond the people that we respect. Because maybe just by you giving yourself enough credit to think for yourself, something can fall fresh on your thought process, can fall fresh on your brain, the way that you see the world, the way that you're layered. And then you'll bring in something new or something different, or it's just a fresh thought to the whole situation. But a lot of the times, if we don't give ourselves enough credit to even critically think for ourselves, we don't get that from you. We don't get the myriad of ways that we can look at something, or the myriad of ways that we can evolve from where we are, because everybody's stuck in this place. Another reason I think people don't think for themselves, especially if you're involved in social media, is that you get bullied out of how you feel. If it's not the popular thing to say, if it's not the thing that's been accepted today, if it's, whatever the case may be, if it goes against the general population or the general grain of thought in the moment, somebody might bully you into feeling the way that they think you should feel, right? You get all these thousands, sometimes millions, depending on the person who did it, of messages that are bullying you, attacking you. And it just kind of makes people shrink into this space of just like, I'm not going to say anything. And we may need your voice to evolve, Let me see what you guys are saying. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the conversation. This is Morning Talks with Ro. You got your morning drink on deck? Good morning, Monica. Hey, Michelle. Hey, James. What's DND, Shamika? Hey, Marquita. Good morning, Ashley. Let's see. Deacon Charles says, a time for reflection in a private area allows your mind to detox. Hello. So thoughts can be more clear. Yes. Sam Simpkins says, my sacred space is anywhere with fountains and chirping birds. I got a fountain going on in the background right now. I hear you. Christopher says, it's very difficult for people to think for themselves because of today's technology. Yes. Tiffany says, the term influencer is still a bit weird for me. And there are plenty of them out there, right? Hey, Roz, good morning, sis. Caldoon says, good morning. Much love from Queens, New York. Good morning, Coach Ro. Now shouting out. What is that? Thank you. I think that was a beautiful compliment. Let's see. Christopher says, because of technology, people rarely do simple things such as read a book, learn a new word. Hello. What you know about learning a new word on a daily basis? What you know about taking some time out to do some mental push-ups through reading? Like, we get so used to consuming information just coming at us, we forget to actually use our brains to read. You know how they say, what you don't use, you lose? How do you know that your reading muscle might not be weakening? Like, just getting reacquainted with words again, seeing them, writing them, feeling them, expressing them can be so important to your growth and evolution and to ours collectively. Let's see, thinking as a result of a trend can handicap forward progression. And if not careful, you can become a part of the dysfunction. Hello, D&D is do not disturb. Hello, that's right, Shamika. So yes, getting into a sacred space could be so healing, so liberating. And even like there are times where you feel completely overwhelmed, right? Get into a sacred space. And sometimes we have to create that space and then don't taint it with anything else. Like, for example, if you find that your sacred space is this place at the park, right? Then don't bring your other troubles into that space. Like, literally leave that space for when you go and you get into your zen. Or you go and you choose to just release and receive that which would be in your best good to receive. Don't bring your work into your sacred space if it's going to taint the sacred space. Don't bring other people or other energies into it. Like, find you a space where you can just woosah. Even if it's just to sit there in stillness. And a lot of us don't even know how to do that, right? It takes practice nowadays just to get acquainted with stillness again. If you were ever acquainted with stillness in the first place. Right? Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Morton says, okay, Sim, let me get yours first. I'm convinced the machine planet from Star Trek is coming for us. Crazy technology. Yeah, man. What was I watching last night? Oh, I'm rewatching The Matrix right now. And that's interesting because they just talked about the part of the movie where Morpheus is talking about how he was like, the machines are going to take over. It's AI. It's an invasion of AI, artificial intelligence. Lo and behold, I'm about to read this book by this Chinese researcher. He's a huge influencer in the business of artificial intelligence. And this is possibly a book that I'm going to bring to the book club that I'm going to start. I am going to start a book club, you guys. But yeah, like that was back in 1999, 20 years later. Can you believe the Matrix is 20 years old? Wow. 20 years later, here we are finally seeing the real emergence of AI. Google Home, Alexa, what's this other thing? There's this other thing, it's voice command. But I mean, it's all of the same. It's all similar things. But all of this stuff is artificial intelligence. And they're developing these algorithms so that it can be able to respond as close to humanly possible. Of course, it does not have a soul, and so it does not have the ability to be as creative as we are as organic human beings. But depending on how much information they're able to feed these machines, they're going to, based on algorithms, be able to make a close choice to what we might make, depending on what it's mirroring, what type of personality it's mirroring, and deliver a result. Whoa. I mean, there's, one of the big influencers out there right now, Gary Vaynerchuk, he talks about how he's using, he's like, you got to use the stuff to your advantage. And a lot of us, especially if you're, the type of person that appreciates and values their privacy, and that this change is coming, but you don't necessarily want to be you're in the world, but not of it. You don't want to be a part of the change, but it's like, dude, it's either you adapt or you possibly get left behind. Really depends on what you want to experience. But he's like, I use this stuff for everything. He has it in like every corner of his home. So he's telling his grocery list. He's given his to-do list. He's, what did I say I wanted to do yesterday? Can you pull up this book for me? I mean, this technology is capable of really managing our lives right now. And this is just in the ethers. We're not even talking about physical robots. And they got those. We don't even know if they've infiltrated society. Now that takes us to that movie Us, which I'm trying to figure out what the heck I was watching. I really just think it was a modern day horror flick. We might be trying to put way too much on the meaning of the film. But if I was to jump on a thought that it could say in connection to what we're talking about today, is there could be a lot of soulless beings down here that have infiltrated society that we don't even recognize. They seem to mimic us. They seem to be like us, but are they really us? Hello. Okay, let's see what else y'all are saying. Good morning, Jorday. Good morning, Joseph. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Chalet. Okay, shout out to the book club. Self-flushing toilets, man, they've had that forever, right? Caldoon says, agreed. Your sacred space is exactly that, i.e. sacred. Anything or anyone that detracts from my peace, I make no hesitations to get rid of it. I heard that. Jorday says, the Twilight Zone original series had many episodes talking of this. The Twilight Zone was very forward-thinking programming. There's a lot of stuff that's been out there that's been kind of giving us hints to what could possibly be coming our way. To what we will be taking advantage of, or what will be taking advantage of us. Hello. Hi, Stacy. Welcome to the conversation. Christopher says the president is soulless. Well, John Cunningham says, good morning. Good morning, John. So, yeah, I mean, what are we walking into? And if we're not careful, not taking this time to just kind of steal away, to siphon ourselves off from the pop culture, from the status quo way of thinking, from what's popular now, you will be one of these little bots. Even though you're an organic human being, you're going to start thinking like little bots because you're not taking the time to say, well, how do I actually feel based on who I am, where I've come from, what things have influenced me, the people that have been in my life. How do I feel about things? Am I willing to even lose myself to find myself again? Because some of us probably do need to lose some aspects of what we think are ourselves to actually find out who we really are. You've been so sucked into the matrix that you're not even thinking for yourself anymore. You don't realize it because you don't take any time out to siphon yourself away to see what you actually think. If you're always being bombarded with stimuli, television, radio, social media, phone calls, television, radio, social media, phone calls, billboards, we're always being bombarded with stimuli. If you don't purposefully take some time to just go, ooh, Are you really thinking for yourself? And if and when that may be needed, will you be capable of doing that? Because you just haven't practiced even thinking for yourself. Let's see what you guys are saying. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the conversation. This is Morning Talks with Ro. Caldoon said, okay, Christine says cellular phones are the devil. I'm bringing back rotary phones. Good luck. Caldoon says, on the issue of artificial intelligence, we must be vigilant and remain consistent in upgrading ourselves with the times we live in. Yes, it's true. Robocars are a good example of one among many things that is connected with the subject artificial intelligence. How many of us are familiar with the subject of robocalls? They say those go out by the thousands daily. I don't know if it's minutes or it's probably more, maybe about a minute, because that daily doesn't sound enough. Tiffany says, I still use a big old school day planner, paper and pencil. People are always amazed when they see it. Yeah, man, hey, hello, pencil and paper, pad to pen to pad. Shamika, me too. I feel more authentic. Trey says truth. Sam says Coach Rose book flow. That's the book club name. I got a book club name I'm coming up with that I have right now. I'm hoping that I can get it clear because I want to do some cool stuff with it. Thank you, though. Jorday says conformity. Very soon it'll be illegal to think for yourself. Whoop. Jorday, don't come in here trying to talk about some stuff that may be real. Folks, there is such a programming and conditioning that seems to be happening with our mindsets. And if we don't learn to pull away from it, to tap out, I'm out for a second, I need to think, then you will be an organic human being thinking like a robot. Thinking like a robot. You won't even know that you've tapped into the normal stream of consciousness that's been moving, right? The agreed upon consciousness that's been flowing. You're going to be in that and not even able to think for yourself, to think outside of the box, to think outside of the matrix. Your happiness is in this agreed upon consciousness. Your peace or lack thereof, swaying in the agreed upon consciousness. Maybe you got to tap out in order to find your peace. Maybe you got to tap out in order to find your real happiness. Maybe you got to tap out in order to find your real voice. That's why I fast. That's one of the reasons I fast. Just to kind of like get some semblance of, let me remain connected to who I am. Let me find a way to stay connected to source energy, to God. Let me see if I can open up a space to get some divine intelligence to speak to me and with me and through me. Let me leave room for that. If I'm so filled up with the agreed upon conscious stream that's going by, where do I leave room for anything else, hopefully higher intelligence, to come in and give me something fresh to think about or a fresh space to think from? Let me see what y'all are saying. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the conversation for those that just joined. Shamika says, can we get a cup with Morning Toss with Ro? Okay, I'll think about that. AJ, hey AJ, good morning, my queen. I just joined, and what's today's lesson? We're talking about thinking for ourselves and creating sacred space to do it in. Sam Simpkins says, I still write letters and stamps. Man, the other day I saw something about people, so I guess it was some millennials. They was like, who uses stamps anymore? I was like, dang, that's where we are. I didn't even know people were. I didn't know that some people weren't using stamps. Wow, okay. Morton Power, hey, you said every day we hustle to make money for paying the bills. Insane that we spend more time at work instead of family and friends. Everyone needs to invest in healing themselves within. Preach, Ro. Bless up, man. You know, there's a great quote by Jim Rohn that says, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And that could be for anything. That could be to access more peace. That could be to access more love, self-love. That could be to access more self-care. That could be to access greater connection and relationship with family and friends. That could be to access greater value that you have to offer to the marketplace. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. They got us roboting it out here, man. And people are forgetting that they may not even be aware, and awareness is the first key to change. You may not even be aware that you're tapped into the conscious stream of agreed upon thinking, just because you're in it all the time. So you don't even know that you're not thinking for yourself. You don't even know that your thoughts are not your own. They're everybody else's. They're the agreed upon thoughts. Whew. Okay, let's see what you're saying. Hey, Lobes, we are living in the days of Dr. Frankenstein. Algorithms are powerful, but scientists can't import the human nervous system, imagination, or the spirit of man. Bless up. God is still in control. We win in the end. Yes, that is the thing that they can't do with AI. They cannot give a replica of our soul. We are soulful beings. We are creative, organic beings. They can never be that. They can copy us very closely. Woo-hoo-hoo. That's why it's probably really important to learn to steal away so that you can remember to think for yourself, so that you will be able to have your senses, your discernment heightened enough to be able to detect a soulless something in front of you. Woo, that's a thought. Hey, Lucinda. Hey, Robert. Sam says, I love cell phones so much I almost tossed mine off a bridge in Portland. Well, Tiffany says, Shamika Rios, I need to use that huge day. Okay, you guys are talking to each other. I love that. Khaldun says, on a side note, mega props to you for forming your book club, Coach Ro. Bless up. It's my pleasure. It's going to be awesome, man. Woo! The things we're going to get to talk about, the ways that we're going to get to stretch in consciousness. What I hope is that we will all learn to support each other in a space of creativity and thinking for ourselves. Throw it all in the pot. You know what I'm saying? Let's stretch. Candace, hey, good morning, Soror. Christine says, heard that they are taking clocks out of schools because this young folks can't read the clocks with hands. Sad. Isn't it amazing? Everything's digitized. They can't cursive write anymore. I mean, the things that I wrote in this book in about 20, 30 years will probably look foreign. The things that we're trying to decipher and decode, you know, anthropologists try and go and figure out like the, what do you call that stuff? The hieroglyphics and stuff. This is going to look like hieroglyphics to kids. Hey, D, isn't that amazing? Like, I'm already ancient. In the most beautiful, sacred way. But isn't that amazing? What I've written here is going to look like hieroglyphics to somebody at some point. That's how much we're changing. That's how much the conditioning is taking control, you know? But this is a sign of the times. It's a part of evolution. It's a part of evolution. And one of the things that we can do, which I think is kind of cool, I learned this threefold thing from the book A New Earth that I just took in again, which was so super powerful. A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle can relieve a lot of human suffering if your consciousness is ready to receive it. It says there's 3 ways that we can experience life that would keep us in purpose with it. One is acceptance. The other is enjoyment. And the other is enthusiasm. So let's say that it's something that's really negative, something that really hurts you, something that you deem as something you don't want. If you can just learn to accept that it is what it is, imagine the space of peace that you could access. Acceptance, enjoyment, or enthusiasm. Powerful if you let that land. Very, very powerful if you let that land. Hey, y'all. Good morning. Shamika, they took the cursive out of school. Yes, they did. Sam says, I can write cursive very well. I write all sorts of curse words. Well. And Shalay says, aside from thinking for myself, I'm teaching my 6-year-old to think for herself. Yes. Yes. And let me just tell you something. I love kids, especially before they around about 7 or 8, and some of them still to this day can think longer outside of the box, but the programming is so strong and so heavy when they come out the womb that it may be getting a little slower, a bit shorter, their ability to stay out of the matrix thinking. Kids can teach us some amazing things because they just came from the ethers. They just came from this creative space. They just came from being born out of nothingness, out of somethingness, without all of our programming here on earth. Listen to them. They have amazing things to say. They're some of the most authentic beings you could ever encounter. They'll tell you the truth even when it hurts. They'll tell you something that you're like, wait a minute, that made a lot of sense. Or wait a minute, that's not the status quo way of thinking. That was very creative what you just said. Wait a minute, you just totally tapped me into my imagination because you're not indoctrinated in this way of thinking and being. Kids, especially up to around the age of 7, at least that's been the agreed upon age. Hello, talk about matrix thinking, but I'm not going to limit it to that. But children in general can be very powerful thinkers and beings. It can be very beneficial for us to listen to them. They may drop a jewel on your head. Let's see what you guys are saying. Sam Simpkins says, I'm so old school. My social security card, number 2 in written. Oh, Sam, you back with your jokes. Tiffany Ponce says, acceptance, enjoyment, enthusiasm. Thank you for putting that in the chat. D. King says, taking cursive out of school's wrong move. Well, it's called evolution now, right? Khaldun says, I believe so, at least in NYC, because I've noticed my nephew's classwork, and he ain't used cursive, and he's in 5th grade. I got cursive in 3rd grade. Yeah, they're teaching them just to print. Never took cursive. I took sign language and speech. Interesting. Robert Cunningham. Hey, Robert. Thank you for contributing to the conversation. We give ourselves to everything except quality time with family and friends. We need to be walking the opposite direction of the crowd. That is why Nipsey Hussle was so important to people. That's why he has shut down the internet. I picked up video from him talking about what he was doing in his hood and said all of us should be doing that. I hope everybody starts to do what he was doing. It would be the biggest tribute to him. He wanted to heal his city. Bless up. Truth. You know what's special about Nipsey Hussle's passing, at least in this moment that I'm thinking, is that in his death, he is causing the change, the transformation that he wanted to see. Sometimes it's in our transition that some of your greatest work gets done. While he was here, he was doing absolutely amazing things. In his death, he's reached so many more people. Millions of people have now not only been exposed to his mission and what can be done and thinking outside of the box and scrambling the pattern of the hood narrative. Bless up. But they've been exposed also to Dr. Sebi. You know, a naturopathic healer. You go and look him up. His videos are blowing up off the chain right now because he's teaching people about how to heal themselves through food, through herbs, through energy. He was getting ready to bring a documentary out, which I think Nick Cannon might be taking up the torch on to finish. Bless up. Look at that. He's got somebody else with big guns coming in to help to complete the mission, to continue the mission. So sometimes even in our transition, we're a great blessing. Sometimes your transition is a blessing too. We're going to miss him. What an impact. My goodness, though, what an impact he's making right now. Young, powerful. Welcome to the conversation, everybody. Christine says, my students teach me every day. Sam says the band Devo predicted. They called it okay. D. King says their minds are absolutely like sponges. I sit on a few diapers myself, and some of my Italian has been rubbing off on them. The 3-year-old girl has been repeating some of my tongue. Yeah, so we want to be careful about how we're programming the kids, what we're conditioning them to think, maybe allowing them some freedom to think for themselves because they got something for us to learn. Yes. Sammy. Hey, Sammy. The importance of community, togetherness, love, patience, tolerance, and respect. All of these beautiful messages are now being put out here because of this transition, because of Nipsey's transition, and because it's made such an impact. All this, it's like a ripple effect. Beautiful. Powerful. It's scrambling the narrative of the hood. Even people saying, oh, we went and killed each other. Not necessarily. No, not maybe not. Scrambling patterns. Love it. It's disrupting things. We need the disruption. Order out chaos. Order out of chaos. What a blessing. Okay, I just felt complete in this talk right now. Is there anything anybody wants to say before I get out of here? We get out of here. So glad you guys joined in today and contributed to the conversation. What a powerful talk. Is there anything anybody wants to... You said Fred Sanford Love. Anything anybody wants to say before we get out of here? creating sacred space. Time away from the matrix to think for yourself. Where is that sacred space? Does today's talk inspire you to go and find it, to create it? Critical thinking, expansive thinking, no thinking at all. Woo! How about that? Can you do no thinking at all, just so that something fresh can fall on your mind, fall in your heart? Let's see what you're saying. Nips indeed blessed us with his knowledge of how to be kind, and he learned to humble himself. Yes, Dr. Sebi is sorely missed in the homeopathic community. Yes, and his teachings live on. Awesome talk. Bless up, Shirley. Glad you enjoyed it and got much value. Christine says, love the rose's favorite flower. Thank you. Isn't it pretty? Chalet says, let's create sacred space, creative and innovative energy. Bless up. Armani says, thank you for sharing your jewels with us. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank everybody for sharing your jewels with us and me. Thank you for contributing to this conversation. We always have great talks, I feel like. Love and gratitude. You bless up, Tiffany. Thank you. Okay, you guys, I will see you next week for Morning Talks with Ro. Until then,